3 of your introductory video. Now I'm going to show you how to manage your guide. So to begin with, this is your guide dashboard. It's showing you all of the guides that are under your management in your LocalsGuide account. You can add unlimited guides here. You can also assign editors and other helpers to help you manage your guides. So I'm going to take you into one of the guides that we've built in Southern Oregon, Ashland, Oregon guide. Immediately upon clicking into the guide, you will see this is the guide control dashboard. This dashboard really has everything you need to know about your guide. I'm really proud of our team for the just detailed thought and work that went into creating this the way it is. This front part right here that I'm highlighting gives you just the specifics of what is involved in your guide. To begin with, the guide classification. Next, your guide key. This key can be changed to by simply going back out to the main dashboard to be customized anytime you want to change it to be whatever you want it to be. And it's in a real-time change, so your users will, when you're running a hotel, for example, this is the key that will be given to the guests coming into the hotel, or an Airbnb or a museum, or if you have a city guide, this is the unique key. Otherwise, password. The download count shows how many times the guide has been downloaded. Moving from this top left to the right, this is how many listings we've built into our guide. There's over 763, and these are detailed. Everything from where to hike, where to eat, what to do, local events. We broke all these into 15 different categories. And the categories are then broken down into in-app categories. These are categories that are actually paid. So they look similar, but when you click into the categories, so you can click into all of these, then you'll begin to see in detail the paid categories. So let's see here. We'll keep moving through this. Export sitemap. This is when your guide gets really big, you need to understand how it's organized, and you also need to start looking for duplicate content. And it gets really complicated on how to manage. Oftentimes you forget what you've already added, and with 763 listings, you can imagine. So the sitemap is just another amazing feature. You can download it. It will come down in Word. You can go into your Word document and set the table of contents, and you will immediately be given a fully formatted guide that's even suitable for being printed. This guide, for example, was over 72 pages long because you can include photographs, description, categories. It also helps you understand where you're missing photos, what you need to fill in. It's a great document to help you manage your guide. Photo gallery, this is showing you the status of if your photo gallery has been turned on, if it has photos in it. The app icon, this is right here. If the app icon has been uploaded and is available, the footer is also available in the app, meaning that it's been totally enabled and set up. The splash page is this page here that's showing. The splash page allows you to see that it's been enabled. The guide introduction is the first page users will see, and usually what you want to do is write a little custom introduction there so that your users will know what to do. And knowing that all of these steps have been completed is really helpful. App editors. App editors allows you to, the LocalsGuide system allows you to have app editors who will, you are the app owner, and as the owner you can have editors and people who work within your guide to help create and manage content. So you can have unlimited app editors. At the same time, you can have listing owners. An app editor can fluidly move throughout your entire guide. An app listing owner can only manage designated listings. So it's not, we don't show listing owners here, but app editors is what we are showing. We are showing app users. Now, app users are the unique customers who have signed up to download your guide. This is a new feature we've just added where we are requiring users to input their email upon registration and then the app key. So you'll see this number grow with your guide, and then you will have access to those users so that you can download that list and use it for marketing or whatever you need to. The profile, this is a little bit different, but it is related to the HTML side of things. And the Google ad, and I'll say more about the profile later. The Google ad mob is the banner advertisements coming from Google. When this is enabled, this means that your Google account is set up correctly and tied into your app. As well as having your guide online and dynamically connect every time through Wi-Fi or data, you can also generate offline guides. This key here, upon clicking it, will immediately generate an offline guide, and this is showing how big it is. You usually want to click this to generate the most up-to-date offline guide possible, though it is regenerating every evening so that you have a fresh build in the morning. Concierge mode is a really unique factor that we built in for countries and locations where people work on commission through making referrals. Concierge mode, when enabled, allows you to override. So listings have fields for phone numbers, emails, and websites. And concierge mode allows you to override the existing phone number to, say, a restaurant and default to an assigned phone number. So if you're a hotel owner, you can have all phone calls that the user makes through the app default to the main hotel front desk. This is a pretty interesting feature that is still in development, but proving very useful. So, and why would you want something like that? You want something like that to help improve visitor experience, especially if you are running concierge services. You don't want to drive your customer directly to retailers or services randomly. You would like to have them come to the front desk, then you can make the reservation for them and you can manage the experience. And that's really why this has been built in here. The guide report, this is the real-time reporting on your app. It will show you the total downloads, you have a date range, the most popular listings, and then we're also tracking the calls so you can see who's actually taking action and responding in your app. Now, if you had concierge mode, you then use this call log to reconcile the business that you're driving to your participating vendors. So if you can tell, for example, this company, Stand Up Ashland, you've sent them 16 customers this month or phone calls, then you know what type of commission they're owing you for that. So going back out here, we do have multilingual guide enabled. If it's not enabled on your account, you can request to have it enabled. What you do is you can come in here and it will basically clone. Once your guide has been completely built, you can select which language. If your language isn't there, please let us know and we'll add it. And it will build an entire clone of your guide, which you can then go back through and customize to make multilingual. Now, we don't recommend doing this until your initial guide has been completely built. Yeah, so it's a nice feature. It will show up then in the main LocalsGuide app under the category for the language that you've put. Coming down here through the main dashboard, we have some basic controls, adding listings, adding categories, adding photos, banners, and hotspots. Hotspots are geo-targeted zones for ad banners, and then all the management of all of this. If you look here on the left side, the main dashboard again is where all of your apps will be controlled. The guide control going through this is where you would set up your listings, add, manage. You can import listings, and then you can also have pending listings, which are imported listings which have not been approved. For categories, this is where you create all of your categories, add categories, manage, static listings. Static listing, and I might decide to rename this to static category, is a category that's basically a single page. It's a category without any depth to it, no listings added with under it. And so most categories actually have listings assigned underneath of it. A static listing is a page that, like maybe an about page, where there's just not a lot of need for information, you just have one thing. Moving into photos, this is our default photo gallery. It's pretty simple. When you're creating a category, you select if you want the photo gallery enabled. You can add photos and manage photos. Listing owners, now this won't be enabled on everyone's account, but this is where you can manage the different owners that are assigned to manage listings. And so for example, a hotel or restaurant might want to manage their own listing within your guide. This gives them the ability to do so. Now, reviews is a new feature we've built in. I'm really excited about this. Reviews are internal to the LocalsGuide system, meaning that users who are going in and writing reviews on the different experiences they have, it is staying within the LocalsGuide network. We are not bringing in reviews from Yelp or Google, and the reviews are not going out. They're very internal and private, which creates kind of a closed ecosystem for the reviews to happen. So we're really looking to maintain high quality reviews, but a big difference in the reviews that you're not going to find in other places is that the reviews are actually not going to the listing owner. The reviews are going to the guide owner. Now, the way I've been explaining this and looking at it is that as the guide owner, you have a responsibility to the users of your guide to provide them with a great experience. If you're not providing a great experience, then you need to know. And if you are getting continual 5-star reviews on all of the recommendations you're making, then you know you're right on target. But if you're getting 1- and 2-star reviews on certain recommendations, then you need to figure out what's going on. What it does is gives you the ability as the app owner and guide owner to only make the highest level of recommendations for your customers. This is very different. It's a different point of view. The point of view is that by creating a great experience, you enrich your customers and you enrich the businesses you're also sending business to. So I'm hopeful to see how this grows, and also look forward to your feedback and experience in how it works for you. Going into the web guide, this is basic, the HTML guide control. The HTML side of LocalsGuide is good, but it's still under development, and I'm looking to improve it more and more. Our team will be working on that continually. You can view the basics here, and also in your guide, you can see previews. The mobile guide, this is giving you, this has been our main focus, the introduction page. Here we have the header image. This is the little introduction. You can put in code here to emphasize the way you want it to be. And this is the splash page. Map categories for your app. Let's see, we're getting a little slow connection. We'll go into footer. This is the footer management for your app. So by turning on the different things, you can then preview your footer and get to see what it looks like and organize it how you want it. You can add custom footers it is possible to do, and you do that within categories. We do have form management, where there is a category type called forms, where you can enable the forms to receive information, to provide concierge services, to collect feedback. You can also enable it to receive phone calls and just make a button that people click and goes straight to phone calls. Banner management is here. This is where you can upload your banners into default zones like the home page, into categories. This would be global for your entire app. Listings, you can go as deep as putting it on listings, and this is for global all listings. But you can also then create custom geozones. This is for a hotel in Ashland, and you can see the different banners that are uploaded. And these are targeted zones. Now this is also where I have the Google Ad Mob enabled. So if you're going to use geozones, you need to go into geofence, and this is an example. Let's look at this Ashland Springs Hotel. You can see kind of where it's located and the size of it, and the pages that you wish to make it happen on, the home page, listing page, detail page. These will take place when a user moves into the zone. They will trigger the geofence, which will then display the advertisement that you have selected. In-app purchases relate to categories. This is where you can put in, you can turn off and on the different types of points. We do use a point system with pricing, and then you can assign a certain amount of points to unlock categories. And for the Ashland, Oregon app, they can remove all the advertisements for 99 cents, get 1 point for 99, and so on. And I'll show you that in a second. Multi-guide setup is a unique feature that is only available for very advanced users and enterprise level services. You can see the main LocalsGuide app here with sub-apps, but you could imagine creating your own app with many sub-apps under it. It is possible to do, but would require a more detailed conversation. One example of doing such an app is if you are doing a countrywide guide, and you wanted it specific to a country, like say you're doing New Zealand, and you want to have 64 different cities or towns and cities in there. Your guide would only focus on that one specific thing, with each of these city guides becoming sub-guides to the main guide. And that's kind of what it is. Back into here, we have in the under guide settings, we have backup. An important thing to do, make sure that you generate a backup of your guide. It is important to do that, and that you can make mistakes. We are, this is a reality of the technology, just to make sure that you do have backups. Sitemap, again, one of my favorite features, where you can really understand the architecture and content included in your guide. Guide setup includes the basics. You can change the name to your guide. You can select the main language of your guide here. You can make it free or paid. If your guide is paid, then when people log into LocalsGuide, they will need to make a payment first. You can decide what type of favorites icon you want. Here's where you enable concierge mode. And like, for example, I'll just put a number here for Office 482-4713. If you have it enabled, it will override all the listing phone numbers, so that anyone trying to use the guide to make phone calls is going to call our office. Another thing here is to set the defaults on your listings, whether they're private or shared. Every listing that you create by default has the opportunity to be added into the global LocalsGuide system. I'm going to show you more about this in a second. It's actually really interesting, and what it does is, if, for example, say you're creating a nature guide and you know that you need to have, let's say, a turtle in there or a rabbit, and it's a certain type of rabbit, someone might have already created the listing for it, and you can share that listing into your own account rather than have to create it from scratch. It's a sharing quality of LocalsGuide, and if you're building great content that you feel like others could benefit from, definitely set it to share. But not only that, if you're building guides that will be using, like for example, when we built the Southern Oregon guides, I'm going to take you back so you can see this. I'm going to go to my main dashboard. We have all these different cities and towns in Southern Oregon, and they all have wineries in them. And rather than add the winery as an independent listing in each guide, we added it one time and shared the listing so that when someone can come into this guide, for example, here's Bend, we'll go into this, then you can, it will be shared into there. So that's how shared listings can happen. So I'm going to show you really quickly. I think it's enabled, so we can go here. Yes. So say you wanted to. So here's where it's some existing guides or listings that already exist, and these are the name of the listing and the name of the guide. So these volcanoes. If you want to add a new listing, just simply click New, and then go into detail with that. I think what I'm going to do now is show you briefly about category management, and then I'll make another video which goes into a lot more depth of categories and listings. So I'm going to click Manage Categories. This is pretty easy to understand. This is the static category, which is a single page. By clicking on the link, you can go in, you can see the icon, and you can edit it, delete it, update it. I'm going to go back out and look at it. You can drag and drop categories here for order. You can have subcategories, and this shows the listing count. So under the top 50 things to do, there's 52 listings. Now, starting here, you'll see the type of category it is. So it's a location aware. We have about 10 different types of categories: static page, location aware, Google, where it's pulling in Google listings. Ordered list is basically a fixed list where you don't want it to change order. URLs, these are targeted web page categories. RSS, pulling in feeds. Let's see here, going down. Here. This is a paid category where you're having to pay to get into the mountain biking. And going down, these are showing the listings. If you want to turn off a category, simply turn it off, turn it on, drag and drop the order. You have a lot of control. I'm going to show you one last thing here about creating categories, and then I'm going to call it the end of this video and then make another one. So when you're creating your category, you want to name it. You want to select if it has any parents or if it's a child. Here's the different types of categories: location aware, ordered list, favorites. Some can only be used one time. For example, photo gallery. Once you assign a category to be a photo gallery, you can only have one photo gallery. Moving down here, so I'm going to hit location aware. This is one of my favorite features. This is our icon builder. Come into here, look up any type of topic that might relate to your guide. Maybe you need to make an icon for a hospital, and you select the images that you want to have, and once you have it, then you just select it and it immediately builds it into your guide. Your category can then have different favorites. If you want to have a main image, like if you're going to have a category with subcategories, then you want to have maybe a main image. Skip this for right now. This is a little more advanced. It allows you basically to have unique content between your guides so that you're not getting penalized in iTunes. Free and paid, like if I want to make it cost 4 points, we know, and then if I want it to show up in the footer, I can make this category show up in the footer of my app. So once you add the category, then you're back out here and you can start to add your listings to it. So for right now, that's the end of this video, and I hope that was all. In my next video, I'll go into even more detail and show you how you can see it in your app.